Well, hello everybody and welcome to this online seminar on supporting families with drug or alcohol addiction, brought to you by Parenting UK and Wave Trust and supported by the Department for Education. Please come in and make yourselves comfy. I'm Jimmy O'Dell, I'm the Communications Officer at Parenting UK, and I will be your host and guide for the afternoon. Thank you all very much for logging in on this lovely sunny day in London. I hope it's lovely and sunny where you are. I've got a feeling we may have lost a couple of potential guests today due to the sun, but I'm very glad to have you all here. Just in case this is your first online seminar, I know some of you have been to a few of ours before. I'll just let you know briefly what's going on and where everything is. You should hopefully see in front of you a few windows. The most important ones are this big one right in the middle of the room, which is where you'll see today's presentations. And then this little one at the top where you can see me, hello, that's where you'll see today's presenters. They'll be replacing me momentarily. And then just underneath that, you should see a participants list where you'll see your own name and the names of everyone else that's here today. So that's who you're with. And I see one of you has already found the chat window at the bottom left. I'm just going to say hello in there. So Sabar Khan is just saying, no, I don't think my microphone works. No, we've set it up so that if you guys want to communicate with us, you can use the chat window. So it's just me and the presenters that have got mics today. But if you want to say hello or ask us any questions, then you can use that chat window, and we'll make sure there's a bit of time for questions at the end of the presentation. So that's where to do that. I'm just seeing Anna there saying that the speech is very broken. I think a bit of that may be to do with connection speeds, so I'm going to try and speak as slowly as I can so that if the speech is broken, you'll only lose the odd syllable rather than hopefully whole words. What I would suggest is if you've got anything else open other than this window, I would suggest closing it down, and if possible, if there's anybody else using your network, maybe ask them to refrain from downloads and streaming for the next hour or so. All right, without much further ado, I will hand you over to our first speaker. We're due to have two speakers today, one of whom is having some technical difficulties, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. Our first speaker is going to be Joe Adams from Action on Addiction. Joe's going to talk to you about M-PACT, or moving parents and children together. And then if the gods of IT are on our side, we will also have Gloria Nellist from Bernardo's talking about the Parenting Factor program. Hopefully over the next half an hour or so she will get those technical glitches ironed out and be here to talk to you. But if not, then my apologies, and we'll just we'll have to finish a little bit early. One final bit of housekeeping: if you find we're going too quickly or too slowly, or if you can't hear us, you can let us know in the chat window. We're doing our best to make sure everything comes over as clearly as possible. So if it feels like you're not picking everything up or you're being ignored, we are aware of everything you're saying in that chat window there. So do let us know if there's anything we can do to make things easier for you to see and hear, and we'll do our best to sort that out. All right then, I will hand you over to Joe Adams. Joe, if you want to start your camera and voice, we'll get you up and running. Thanks.
Hi Jimmy, thanks very much. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I will try and speak slowly, though that's not my natural. It's lovely to have the opportunity to talk to everybody, even remotely. As Jimmy said, I'm from Action on Addiction. I'm head of service at Families Plus. Good, I see you can hear me. I'm head of service at Families Plus. For those of you that don't know, Action on Addiction is actually the only addiction charity that works across the whole remit of addiction. So we have residential treatment services, day treatment, we do a lot of education and training, research, and very importantly, we do a lot of family, both individual and whole family support. So today I want to focus and talk to you particularly about the whole family support that we do, that, as Jimmy mentioned, called M-PACT. I will try and pigeons if I see them coming up in that little box at the bottom. This is challenging my multitasking capabilities, or I might just come back to them at the end. Right. Hopefully my presentation is going to load now. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. I'll get rid of that. Okay. Next. Firstly, looking at the need, this quote, which I hope everybody can see the presentation, from Velleman and Templeton, really sums up some of the problems faced by children living in families where there is parental substance misuse. Some of those are about educational attainment, emotional difficulties, and an important one is taking on inappropriate caring responsibilities. So those are the individual effects. And looking at the actual scale of the problem, they estimate that there's up to 1.3 million children living in the UK with parents who misuse alcohol, and another 300,000 children who are living with problem drug users. I think it's recognised by most people now that actually this is a gross underestimation, and in fact the numbers are much larger. They say and estimate that 1 in 3 of children under the age of 16 actually live with at least one binge drinking parent. And it's not just the individual effects, it's also about the knock-on effect, other problems that they face. For example, they say that 1 in 3 of children taken into care is as a result of parental substance misuse. I'm sure you all realize the knock-on effect also in terms of financial is absolutely enormous. So we're talking about a really, really big problem both on the individual level and on society level. In terms of the children's lives and the problems they face as individuals, it really is a very, very unpredictable world for them. Often lonely, confusing. They experience a lot of shame, feeling that it's their fault. And as a result, many of the problems actually remain hidden. We don't know about them. These children are very often not telling anybody about their problems. One of the experiences that I haven't mentioned on the list is actually that of isolation. These children are often very, very isolated. For example, in school, they won't want to invite friends back home because they're understandably and rightly very worried about what might be happening at home. They won't want to go out to tea with their friends because they're so worried about home. They want to get back and check on mum or dad or other siblings. So isolation is a really important effect on the children. As Jimmy said, our programme that we've got is called M-PACT. That stands for Moving Parents and Children Together. The programme was developed in 2006. Since then it has been rolled out across the UK, and it's been fully evaluated all along by Lorna Templeton, who's an expert in the field, used to work at the University of Bath. It is about moving, so it is about bringing the parents and children together as a family, moving them away from addiction towards a more stable future. But it's not an answer and it's not a cure. It is about a journey, and it's the start of that journey. It's about change. Importantly, I mean, the diagram shows, it's about bringing parents and children together. It is a whole family programme, holistic programme. The aim of the programme rests very much around health and well-being of children and young people and the adults. It's about raising self-esteem, improving communication, importantly about increasing the understanding of addiction, what addiction means to them and what it means to their family, And there's a focus throughout about reducing harm and increasing safety. Having said that, not all children actually suffer that much, and because some of them have got high degrees of resilience. I hope we will hear from Gloria later, because there is a lot of very good intervention work going on out in the community from all sorts of organisations, statutory and voluntary. But what is special about M-PACT? As I've said, it is about whole family support. So we're not working with individuals, but importantly, it's actually, we bring different families together at the same time. So we work with groups of families, up to about 8 families. It's effective for the families rather than just working individually. Having said that, we do work with the adults and children together as separately as well in sort of individual groups. So we see M-PACT very much working alongside other interventions and support programs. It's really about a package and pathway of support for the children whose lives are so affected by. Right, detail about M-PACT. It's an 8-week structured intervention. Referrals are received from a whole range of agencies: social workers, parent support workers, drug projects, schools, and in fact self-referrals as well. So the families come together for 2.5 hours a week over the 8 weeks. We work with children mostly between the ages of 8 to 17, although we have worked quite a bit with younger children, extend the programme more formally to work with younger children. The adults are usually parents or carers, although we do work with grandparents as well. And we work with both the using parent and the non-using, both, or one or other. The using parent may need treatment or may have undergone treatment, they may be in recovery. All we do say is they do have to be able to engage on the day, and if they turn up inebriated and unable to, then they won't be able to attend. I've said already it's a whole family approach. The programme is delivered by 4 M-PACT trained practitioners. So we train practitioners on a University of Bath accredited course to deliver the programme according to our M-PACT manual. And that's a very comprehensive manual which details out exactly what is covered in each of the sessions. As I said, the groups of families work in different things in different areas. So sometimes the children will work together with there's usually 2 of the trained practitioners who specialise in working with children and 2 with adults. So sometimes the children will work together with the practitioners and the adults separately. Sometimes it'll be family groups, or sometimes it'll be the whole group, depending really what they're doing that session. And we also do a range of different sort of activities and role play. For example, one of the important things which we cover is about understanding addiction and what addiction means for their family. For this, the adults will, what we call, write a letter to addiction. And we get some really moving letters from that. The children, particularly the younger ones, find that quite hard. And so very often, and usually, they will cover that area through artwork. And I'll show you. They look at communication, feelings, addiction. They look at a toolkit about how they can help, how they can access help, which increases their sort of coping strategies, which is really important. There's a post-program review for each family, and it's at that review that the family might be signposted on to other programs for support, or, for example, parenting programs. Quite often, adults may go into treatment. The children quite often will then seek and get access to additional support at school. Sometimes the school know nothing about the problem before, and therefore it's opening up those opportunities for them to gain further support. So that's a really important part of the aftercare. I sort of talked about the drawings, so I thought I'd just show you some of the artwork, because I must admit I love the artwork. I'm not going to put my crayon all over it. This was from an 11-year-old girl, and she wrote, "It changes your world for the better." I hope you can all see these pictures. And I just think that's really interesting. It is the world in which they're living. She's actually called it Action for Addiction, and we're called Action on Addiction. So I don't know if that's a message to us we ought to have a think about. This is another one. This is by the son, who's 7, who says, "It's a lovely place and I like spending time here. Action for Addiction rules." I think that's good too. I think kids are probably much better at doing logos and slogans than we are. And the other one is by the 11-year-old girl, who says, "When I had finished, I had felt a lot better and relieved of my troubles. I love Action for Addiction." Really quite powerful, relieved of my troubles, if we're looking at outcomes. We have started delivering M-PACT within the prison setting, which has been an exciting development for us. This drawing was done by a girl whose father was in Park prison in Bridgend in Wales. Again, the world, and that's quite interesting. Before then, we have do whatever we wanted to do at the time. So very much the family separated out there. Afterwards, us now, we discuss things and do things as a family. And there they are, all holding hands. Again, I think that's a really lovely one. More formally, though, in terms of outcomes, the outcomes really have been seen through both quantitative and qualitative evaluation. And the outcomes very much relate back to the programme aims, and they are about improved understanding of addiction, improved communication, for the children, importantly, the raised self-esteem, and about safety. And breaking those negative patterns of behaviour. And it is that beginning to break down those patterns of behaviour. So it's the beginning of a journey. I talked at the start about the importance of isolation, and I'll come back to that one as well, because it's one of the really important features and outcomes from M-PACT. The children nearly always at the end of the programme say that is the first time that either they've spoken to anybody about their experiences in the family, or that they've realised that they're not alone, that there's other people, other children experiencing the same thing as them. And that's been really important and beneficial to them. And of course, being kids, they've all got the latest, iPhones and Facebook and everything else. So they do share their numbers, etc. And we know that they stay in touch. It's also very important that bringing families together from the adult's point of view. Adults quite often, interestingly, say that they never realised the effect that their addiction was having on their children. They say, we don't use in front of them. We do it at night when the children are in bed. And we don't drink in front of them. But of course, the children do know. And the adults say it's only when they listen to other children talking about their experiences that they realise actually what the effect is on their own children. And that is often a very, very hard and difficult session for them. I've got there enjoying quality time as family. That is very important too, because often there is not much whole family time. Even families say coming together in the taxi is great, because they're actually for 45 minutes, whatever, sitting there talking as a family. We do always start each M-PACT session with food, obviously very important to all of us, and quite often chocolate, which is obviously very popular. But it is again an opportunity for the family to be together, to share in eating experience. And an interesting thing that comes out is that sometimes at the beginning of the programme, adults, and they go up and they get the food for their parents. By the end of the programme, the last session, the parents are often getting up and getting food for the children. So a real shift in caring, quite significant. Indicators of harm. We've had quite a few cases, 5 or 6 cases of children coming off the at-risk register following an M-PACT programme. Having said that, occasionally a positive outcome is that children actually have a child protection plan because they may have been very, very hidden, and actually that's what they need, some support. It's not always coming off. We've had a lot of feedback from teachers about improved school attendance and school achievement. We have one instance where a teacher rang up parents in the middle of the M-PACT program, about session 4, I think, and said, I don't know what's happened to Sarah, whatever, but suddenly she's motivated, she's interested, she's happy, she's putting up her hand in lessons. So significant, the teacher, rang up the parents. We've had reports of children's reading ages, for example, making a massive improvement following an M-PACT programme. I talked before about adults seeking treatment, and of course in terms of long-term effect, there's nothing really more beneficial for the whole family, because the impact of parental substance misuse is not just for that one family in one generation. We know it goes on, passed on, it's intergenerational. We know that a child's been living in a family with parental substance misuse is 7 times more likely to misuse substances themselves. Also, as I said before, the families, children and adults go on to further support and different sorts of programs. Here's some quotes, just a few of the quotes. We've got lots of feedback from families who've attended M-PACT program. I'll just leave them there for you to read for a few moments. We've had a lot of very good quotes. I quite like this one at the bottom here. I liked it because I'll see if my pencil works. I liked it because I made some new friends who have the same problem as me. Again, that's bringing those families together. And in terms of the generations, this one here, maybe if M-PACT had been around when I was growing up with my alcoholic father, I wouldn't have become an addict. Quite a powerful statement. One more drawing, sorry, you'll realise I like my drawings. This is a 12-year-old boy who attended an M-PACT program. Before M-PACT, he said, I used to always be upset at school. I used to fake being ill. After M-PACT, big smile. Now I'm happy. I've made friends and I find lessons easier. M-PACT helped me blend in at school and stand up for myself. The future, as I say, we are rolling M-PACT out across the UK through an M-PACT UK initiative project. The aim really is to have M-PACT embedded in all local areas to respond to the needs of all children, that we know there's children affected by parental substance misuse across the UK, across the country, and we would like all those children to be able to access help. We're spreading it out through the UK through a licence scheme whereby organisations buy an M-PACT licence, and for that we train their own practitioners. So it's very much about getting your staff working with your families in your locality, because actually the local people understand the local communities and the local cultures, and that's really important. M-PACT's now being delivered across 23 areas of the country, and we're hoping to extend that significantly. So if you do want to find out more or how you can be involved, my contact details are there. I would recommend also looking on the Action on Addiction website. There's a lot of information on there. But that's it from me, and I will try and answer questions if they're typed in, because I think I can move from presenting to reading the box now. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that was interesting. Let's see, any questions? Oh, right. Hugh Bryson has written in. Do you want me to do this, Jimmy, or? He says, I'm in.
Yeah, you go ahead, Joe. I was just, yeah.
I'm interested in the selection process and what level of practical support went into enabling attendance and engagement, and where did the work take place? Hugh, we have the start of the programme, I should mention, there is quite an intense assessment process whereby we meet with the families, with the adults and the children, two of the practitioners, and go through a whole range of history and medical and talking about programme and what it means, because quite a lot, honestly, there's a lot of fear about this, and particularly there's fear that it might be something to do with children being removed or something. So the assessment process is a really important part. I hope that answers that. Amanda has written, I've seen on the website that there is M-PACT training available. Will I be able to get information about this? Yes, there is M-PACT training. We deliver the M-PACT training in Warminster, down here near me. If you're interested in having M-PACT training, just email me on that email address there, joe.adams@actiononaddiction.org.uk. At the moment, as I said, the license is sold to an organisation, and the organisation then sends practitioners to be trained. So I don't know who you work for, but it might be worth speaking to your manager about that. But we are considering the possibility of training up individuals as well. So get in touch with us, but also, I don't know who you work for, but speak to your manager. It may be that there's a group of you that could come and attend the training. Anita asks, which areas are currently using M-PACT? As I said, Anita, got across 23 parts of the country. We've got Devon, Cornwall, down here Wiltshire, three or four boroughs in London, Essex, Liverpool, going up north now, Derbyshire, Wales, Merthyr Tydfil, Manchester. Trying to think, Stockport will be delivering it soon. So it is spreading. Is there an area you're particularly interested in? Saba has asked about Hugh's question about assessment. I hope I've answered that, but if there's anything else you wanted to know about, let me know. Derbyshire, yes, thank you. Kate Kenny has said that Derbyshire have used M-PACT. That's right, they have delivered it there. Amanda, working for a local children's centre. That's interesting, Amanda, because we're looking to work, very closely with children's centres. Where are you? In Bradford. Well, we're not in Bradford at the moment, but we would very much like to be. It may be that, I don't know how your children's centre is organised, but if they want to get in touch, then we could certainly discuss the possibility of trying to get somebody in Bradford who would be able to, run an M-PACT programme for you up there. But interested, children's centres is organisations that we are hoping to work with very closely, because obviously we're very aware that you'll be dealing with a lot of the children, and some of them obviously have got parental substance misuse as an important factor in their lives. Anita is in Hertfordshire. Oh, that's where I've come from, Anita. We haven't got M-PACT in Hertfordshire at the moment, but we are in discussion with them at the moment. I don't know if you work in the area in Hertfordshire, whether, again, there's somebody you might speak to, that because we might be able to link up our discussions. Someone said, I work for Leeds Family Intervention Service, and we have families which would benefit from M-PACT. It's interesting that a lot of you are saying about your families would benefit from M-PACT, and the need is so great, and obviously that's coming across here. And it's a matter of getting it, available and accessible. But Leeds, I make a note of that. We have been in discussion with Leeds as well. So I will take back all the areas that you mention. I will take back to my M-PACT development manager and see if we can approach your local authority with a view and say that there's been demand from individuals for M-PACT or an expression of interest, and therefore see if the local authority will take up on it. Swanee says in Sheffield. I was up in Sheffield last week, so that is one of the possibilities coming online soon. Nita says, would someone from Hearts be able to access the London programme? Transport is, yes, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a difficult one, but obviously it is once a week for 2.5 hours. And for the children who are at school, obviously that can be quite a journey after the school day, and then it's getting back home after the end of the programme quite late. So it would depend very much where in Hertfordshire they were. I mean, there's quite a few programmes being delivered in Essex, so depending whereabouts in Hertfordshire, if you're on Eastern Herts, you might find you'd be able to access Essex programmes. Amanda, Joe, would there be any chance of training in Leeds, Bradford? We would love to train in Leeds, Bradford, Amanda, but I do need somebody from Leeds, Bradford to liaise with, because as I say, at the moment it has to be done through an organisation, because you do need 4 practitioners together, so somebody has to coordinate that. As I say, interesting you say about skilling up our local workforce. One of the outcomes I didn't mention, but has been a very important one, has been actually professional development for the practitioners. And the feedback that we've had from practitioners has been absolutely fantastic in terms of their own learning as well as their practice and working with families. Sarah, I can't remember, were you in Sheffield? I'd have to check who we've been talking to in Sheffield. Rachel, would you consider delivering a presentation at Bradford Uni? Yes, yeah, Rachel, we're always very keen and happy to present our work, and the more we can let people know about it and know what's going on, the better. So if you want to email me, I'll certainly take you up on that one. No, I think something's gone off the screen. Richard, it's surprising and encouraging that you make such an impact in 2.5 hours a week. How many weeks do you normally operate for? Well, as I say, the programme is 8 weeks, and then there is the family review. And in fact, I should have mentioned, 3 months later, there is a family reunion where the families come back together again for some sort of fun activity, really. But it's about keeping the benefits and outcomes going. We do often do a lot of aftercare actually with individual families as well, if that's what's identified as a need. But yeah, it's eight core weeks with assessment before and a review afterwards. Oh, Saba, you were in Leeds, sorry, not Sheffield. Again, I'll have to check up who we've been talking to, but if you email in, then we can come back to you on that. Amanda, that would be great if you could speak to your manager, yeah, and we'd be happy. As I say to everybody, we'd be only too happy to come and present in more detail about the M-PACT programme. Anita, thanks for feedback re-accessing programmes, but may have to wait to be available in Hearts. Yes, yeah, it may have to wait at the moment, Anita, although if you've got any power, by all means, please contact somebody. I'd be only too delighted. Kate says it's exactly as Joe says, it has a tremendous impact on everyone. Lovely, Kate. Thanks for that and the backup and the support. That's brilliant. Amanda says, Joe, it sounds fantastic and something we're definitely interested in. Can I just ask, you're not the Joe Adams responsible for all of the sexual health work too? No, Amanda, I'm not. Oh, what about funding? The M-PACT programme is free to families accessing it. So the cost of delivery is borne by the organisation delivering the programme in terms of it's mostly practitioner time. In terms of our funding, we are a national charity, so we are reliant on fund trusts and fundraising. We do sell the licence though. The M-PACT licence is actually sold to local authorities, so we do get some income from that. We also do a lot of professional development training for people working with families and addiction. There's a charge for that. I mean, while I'm mentioning that, we do also run we'll do bespoke training as well for organisations. Particularly, we found hidden harm there's been a lot of demand for hidden harm training. Because, as I said, and you probably know, most of you, that the problem is very, very much hidden. And it's also hidden. We found that professionals working, in the field, often they haven't received a lot of training in addiction and the impact on families. And we run a training, really, it's about increasing their skills and confidence and awareness about addiction, what it looks like in families, about coping and resilience, and about where and how to move families on to getting the support they need. So we do quite a lot of professional training as well. That covers everything. But I would say, do look on our website because it's got the full range of details about what we do. Amanda says, I have a dual role as youth worker and family support worker. Oh wow, a key person, Amanda, for us, absolutely key, and feel that this is probably one of the most needed programs, particularly in our area. Yeah, well, I'm very interested to hear that. I mean, I think the feedback is the demand is absolutely enormous in terms of looking at the link between addiction, substance misuse, and other factors like domestic abuse, poor school attendance, behavioural problems, youth offending, adult offending. It's, there's so many examples of the clear link where substance misuse and addiction lies behind so many of the other problems. Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad you found it useful. Now, if that's any more questions from anybody? Be interested. It's really interesting to hear about the work that you're doing and how, because a lot of it is about linking together. Because as I say, so many people are doing, really good work in slightly other areas. And I'm sure, we've all got our strengths, and it's about the combined strengths that can support the families.